Today we're going to look at 10 depreciated cars that you can buy for under £5,000 that look expensive. Let's get straight into it. Let's kick off with the W212 Mercedes E220 in both saloon and estate specs, and in both pre and post facelift, although the post facelift is definitely a lot more modern looking, so looks a little more expensive. Roguely, the estate version of this car was the most aerodynamic estate on the market on release, and both were one of the first cars to have an active bonnet that exploded outwards if you hit a pedestrian for their safety. Most importantly, however, they are known to be very strong on reliability, with plenty being used as taxis, some getting to over 1 million kilometers. That's why they were named the redemption car by Mercedes engineers internally. The 7-speed automatic has had some issues over the years, and the water pump is supposed to be serviced or replaced more regularly than originally planned due to some failures, plus some internal infotainment glitches are known. They come with a 2.1 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, putting out 167 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 8.4 seconds, and they're listed anywhere from around £3,000, with 5k getting you a 2013 model with high mileage. Skoda and looking expensive don't necessarily go together, but the superb Laurin and Klement bucks that trend. Not only does the L&K name hark back to the original founders of the brand, who built luxury cars back in 1905, but it gets some seriously high quality features. The leather upholstery was stitched by the same suppliers that VW used for Bentleys, there are exclusive paints that aren't available on any other VW Group car, and even the L&K badge is hand curved to match the shape of the front fenders, another feature typically reserved for low volume luxury cars. Add on the lovely interior that benefits from Skoda's supreme levels of practicality, and this might be the thinking man's car on this list. They got a 2 litre turbocharged inline-4 block that makes 167 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 8.4 seconds, and they start at around £4,500. For our 5k limit, you'll get yourself a 2013 model with pretty high mileage. DPF blockages are a key common issue on this engine, and the DSG gearbox is also known for faults. High mileage examples that aren't being maintained have also been known for gearbox issues. It's rare that I include cars in my videos that I'm not really a fan of, but I would be way too biased if I didn't include the odd one or two, and the Range Rover Evoque is one of those cars. But considering you can get pretty modern looking ones for sub 5k, I'd be cheating you out of an option if I didn't include it. These come with a 2.2 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 187 brake horsepower, taking him to 60 in 8 seconds. And it was actually the most economical range ever on release, managing over 50 miles per gallon. Early doors, these became a popular car amongst celebrities, with former PM David Cameron, Victoria Beckham, and even the royal family being spotted in them, which helps to earn the ultimate Chelsea tractor title. And however much I dislike it, it sold incredibly well, keeping JLR afloat, and those numbers help to make them so cheap now, as they start at £4,000, with 5k getting you into a 2012 example with high mileage. Engine oil leaks, turbo failures, and timing belt issues are known to be the main problems I could find on forums, as well as DPF blockages. Another JLR group car now, the Jaguar XE, which was built as the brand's competitor to the BMW 3 Series, and like the Evoque, was meant to sell in huge numbers. Those volumes have helped these to drop drastically in price, but just because there were so many of them doesn't mean they were rushed out. That's proven by these coming with Jaguar making the engines for them, having used externally sourced blocks for years. In this case, it was a 2 litre turbocharged inline-4, putting out 177 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 7.9 seconds. Jaguar tested those engines in Ford Mondeos and BMW 3 Series in secret for a while to make sure they worked, and they did work in many respects, as they arrived in time for Dieselgate, where every manufacturer was under intense scrutiny, and Jaguar happily invited third-party verification of their emissions, which was pretty rare at the time. £2,000 the lowest that I could find these listed for, and 5k is enough for a 2016 model that's done pretty high mileage. Stretched and failed timing chains are the most harrowing problem on these, but they're actually more known for turbo failures, EGR failures, and in the worst cases, oil dilution that causes other crazy problems. The Chrysler 300C was often named the poor man's Bentley, and recently one managed to fool my lovely wife into thinking that it was something more special than it actually was. That's why for sub 5k I've included it on this list, and more importantly, the grille and profile were actually inspired by Bentleys. In reality though, as an American car sold into Europe, it was designed with American bling appeal, with the lower roofline purposely there to give it a more custom look. Chrysler therefore leaned into this, and the car gained a bunch of popularity, with early cars going to hip hop artists and NBA players. They came with a diesel 3 litre V6 turbocharged block that makes 215 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 7.4 seconds. If you want me, you need to spend around £2,000, and within our 5k price range, you'll be looking at a 2007 example that's done around 50,000 miles. The main common issue I could find on forums was swirl motor failure caused by contaminated oil, and suspension bushes going, requiring replacement of the entire suspension arms. Leaking oil coolers are also known. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video. Do hit like and subscribe if you are. 77% of people watching this right now are not subscribed. And let me know in the comments down below, what is the best value for money sub £5,000 car you can buy? I literally just released a video reviewing the incredible F82 BMW M4 competition, which I really enjoyed driving and is definitely great value for money. The 420D is also great value given it's on the same platform, can be had with some nice sporty M performance parts, and is now available for under 5k, which is pretty mental. This was the first time we saw a 4 Series, which is literally a coupe and convertible equivalent of the 3 Series Saloon and Estate. It arrived to change up BMW's strategy, separating the body types in the same way that Audi do with the A4 and A5. The design of it was absolutely what made it so popular though, and that's because it was deliberately shaped after the stunning E9 CS. These got a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 181 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 7.3 seconds. They're listed anywhere from around 4k, and for 5k we'll be looking at a 2014 model with high mileage. Of course, as a diesel, the DPF is known for clogging, but timing chain issues are also known, as well as oil leaks and infotainment issues. We're on to our second Mercedes on this list, going a little older but also a little more premium with the Mercedes S350 from the W221 generation. And don't let the age put you off, the S-Class as the flagship always gets the best tech Mercedes can throw into their cars, including actively scanning the road ahead to modify the suspension and brakes to prep for crashes. This car is way ahead of its time. Plus, it's the only car on this with massaging seats, and a car that was typically bought by the rich and famous to be chauffeured around in rather than to drive. It was so popular in fact that maybe a less fun fact is that they were among the most stolen luxury cars in Europe for a time. These come with a 3-litre V6 turbocharged engine putting out 204 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 6.9 seconds. They start at around £4,500. For our 5k limit you'll get a 2010 model that's done pretty high mileage. Radiator leaks, thermostat and water pump failures and failed airmatic suspension are the most common issues I could find on forums. We've mostly had slightly slower cars on this list, but the next 3 are a little more performance focused. First up we have the Renault Megane RS, which for a time was possibly the most common car you would see at the Nürburgring. It was used as a ring taxi and as a competitor to the plethora of Porsche GT products and stripped out BMWs that frequent tourist days at the ring. That's because if you got a cup chassis you get the mechanical Torsen LSD, plus they've got some serious front end downforce from that splitter and vented bumper. It's a car that gives you confidence to thrash around, and it looks good doing it too. They come with a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 block making 246 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 5.9 seconds, and you'll find them listed anywhere from around £4,500, with 5k getting into a high mileage 2011 example. Gearbox and clutch issues are the most common I could find on forums, specifically around noisy bearings and a clicking flywheel. Turbo failures are also known according to owners. I'd say it's another hot hatch, but it's probably officially classed as a coupe, but it's still kind of a hatchback. Up next, the VW Scirocco R. The R badge does make cars look a little bit more expensive, but the Scirocco specifically is a lovely looking car. It's got a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 261 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 5.8 seconds, and the one shame is they were only front-wheel drive. It would have been cool to see them with the Golf's all-wheel drive system. That front-wheel drive nature does make it a little lighter and more hot hatchy in its dynamics though, so it's not all bad. It never got an official Nürburgring lap time though, and there is some speculation that the lack of all-wheel drive, the lack of a lap time, and the lack of power is due to VW not wanting to overshadow the Golf R. £4,000 is the lowest that I could find it listed for, and 5k is enough for a high mileage 2011 model. Spark plugs and coil packs are known to be problematic in typical VW fashion, and the DSG can also cause issues, but actually most owners seem to mention build quality problems rather than anything catastrophic. Taking the top spot due to its supreme performance compared to everything else on this list is the Audi S5, most likely in convertible spec, as it's just about available in our price range. The coupe is probably the better looking car all in, but with the roof down and a slightly newer badged model, these do look pretty expensive. They come with a 3-litre supercharged V6 engine putting out 328 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 4.7 seconds, and that engine was specific to the convertible and sportback, while the coupe got the naturally aspirated V8 instead. They're pretty ideal from a looking expensive perspective. S badged, nice minimalist interior, excellent looks on the outside, and a more premium badge. For sub 5k they make sense at the top of the list. If you want me to spend around £4,500, and within our 5k price range we're looking at a 2010 example with high mileage. There are some minor oil and coolant leaks known, as well as water pump and thermostat failures that can lead to overheating, but it's timing chain tension issues that are the most troublesome. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do hit like and subscribe if you did. Thanks to patrons, you as well for watching. Click on screen to see that M4 Comp review I mentioned.